Hello, Aquarius, and welcome back, everyone. I am Sarah Mackenzie, reading as Sora for Sora Sky Messages. This series is based on the crazy astrology that is going on in October. I am not an astrologer, but I am a big fan, and I love reading about it, but then I always come back to the cards to make a little bit more sense of everything. As such, where we are about to enter Scorpio season with the Sun and Venus going into Scorpio on the 23rd, and being followed by the Moon on the 25th for a new moon in Scorpio and the beginning of eclipse season, retrogrades ending, Mars going into retrograde at the end of the month. I put together a little spread. We are going to focus mostly on the Scorpio and eclipse, but we will also just kind of be picking up on the energies. So we are using the Crystal Energy Tarot, and while I shuffle, I'm going to thank you for liking, subscribing, hitting the notification bell, all of that. Just helps readings and everything get to the people who need it. If you are interested in a personalized reading, please head over to my website or send me an email. I will not contact you unless you contact me, so please be aware, as there are plenty of people out there who are pretending to be tarot readers. I will not contact you unless you're signed up for the newsletter, but even that's not me contacting you directly, it's me doing the newsletter. And so we are going to start with a card for you, Aquarius. And that is the Ace of Wands. That is the creative spark. That is the passionate, creative energy. Sometimes if we're looking romantically, it can be kind of rekindling. But here, it really is the card of create. Go out and make something happen. This can say that you are starting to find those things that make you really passionate. I know I just saw something that people with Aquarius placements had the hardest time with the Saturn retrograde, so this can be coming out of that fog or that feeling of being stuck and just running straight into the things that you love. So this is really wonderful to see as the card that represents you and what you're going for right now. Next we look at kind of the general situation, what's ahead of you, what's right in front of you. That is Justice. That is a card of cause and effect. So Justice tends to stick to one action, one outcome, but it can definitely be used to look at patterns. This can also be, say you applied for something a few months ago, or you filed for something, or you just put out some sort of paperwork, or a questionnaire or an application. This would indicate that you are getting your response, your reply, your outcome there. I do love it with the Ace of Wands, though, because it tells you, you know, as you go out and create, watch what happens. And, you know, adjust accordingly, but like also watch how things unfold for you. Next, we are looking at what to watch for. This is like the heads up. There's just so many different energies, and so much chaotic type energy around that. This is just kind of the what to focus on, what to look for, so you don't get overwhelmed or dragged away. And that is the Ten of Swords. That is one of those cards that a lot of people don't love. I'm actually a huge fan, and I know we're not supposed to have favorites or anything like that, but I will defend this card forever. The reason people don't like it is a card of endings and not necessarily happy ones or ones that you wanted. But it is also the ending of something that shouldn't be there. For me, it's kind of the boiling frog card. This is when you're in a situation that you never would have put yourself in, but because it started out in a much better place, as things got hotter and hotter, you became a little bit more, that's fine. It's like the meme with the dog and the fire. You would never have started out this way. And the Ten of Swords kind of comes in to remind you of that and to ask you to bring your standards back to where they were, to let go of the idea and to find things that actually fit your ideals instead of idealizing a situation that's gotten toxic. This can be work, this can be friendships, this can be anything where when you entered and you committed, you were really happy with what was going on, and as such you've forgiven every little chip until you're in a completely unrecognizable situation, but you're still holding on to it for hopes that it'll go back. This card, when it says what to watch for, is to look for that, to look for the situations that you are in that you wouldn't have agreed to be in otherwise, and to leave. As such, it's a very hopeful place. You know, it's helping you find the places where you can make your life much better, where you can still be passionate and you can jump right in. But it is something that takes looking for. Next is what needs to be healed. So that's the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands is often referred to as a card of weddings, and small parties, get-togethers. The point of that, for me, is less about the occasion itself and more about who you have there. These are the people that you trust. These are the people that you share your passions with before you're ready to share them with the world. In terms of what needs to be healed, this can indicate maybe being closed off for a while, being afraid to share. This can be directly healing certain relationships, or it can be healing trust issues. But it's really interesting to me with this Ten of Swords, because it's kind of asking you to stop putting up with the people who make you feel like what you are after isn't worth it, or that you can't accomplish it, and finding the people who will help you. See, here you've got that creative spark, and here there's multiple. Here it's supported. So it's asking you to kind of mend your relationship with relationships almost. Next, where should I pause before jumping in? There's some really impulsive energies coming our way, and we just want to look at where specifically we should take a breath before going forward. And that's the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands is a card of growth, a card of pushing yourself to do better, a card of training. It can also mean, in the Rider-Waite tradition, it tends to be more conflict and kind of competing to see who goes first, competing, like needless competition. Instead of pushing each other to do better, you're just kind of pushing each other. I love this with the where should I pause before jumping in, because it's almost like, is this something you're going to pursue because it's part of your passion, or because it's passion adjacent and you really just want to win? It's interesting with all this look at passion and relationships. There's kind of that reminder of why. Particularly with the Ten of Swords, this Five kind of asks you to be on the lookout as to why you are doing things. Are you doing them because they are actually part of that passion, or because you feel like they should be? Finally, we take the Shadow card, which is just the bottom of the deck, and we have Judgment, Justice's big brother or sister. I only say that because it is also a card of cause and effect, but Judgment tends to deal with the bigger picture, looking back and looking at patterns. So You know, with justice, I say it really kind of focuses on one step that you take, one action. Judgment wants you to look at them as a collective. So you look back and you say, every time that I do A, B happens. Every time that I do C, D happens. I want whatever ratio you want of B and D. If you want a lot more B, you need to do more of A. If you want less, you do less. It is very objective. Justice and Judgment are both very objective cards. They're not about judging yourself. They're not about getting justice and revenge and all that. They are about cause and effect. They're about not worrying about why you did A, and instead focusing on what happened so that you can decide if you want more or less. One of the big things with Judgment that I like to remind people is that as humans, we have a very bad habit of assessing a situation based on what we know now and deciding that who we were then should have known it, when the whole reason we know what we should or shouldn't have done in that moment is because of what we did. We need to learn, and as such, we need to make mistakes. So we have this bad habit of judging our former selves for making mistakes when the only reason we knew they were mistakes is because we had to make them. That theme really asks you to pull some of the emotion out of looking at how you got where you were. And I love that with the Ten of Swords. I love these three cards together because that's sort of one of the ways we get into those Ten of Swords situations is we want to do things correctly, and then when things don't go our way, even if it was a mistake, we try to stay and correct it. Or if it was somebody else's, we forgive their mistakes and somehow blame ourselves, and in that cycle end up thinking that we could just go back to how it started if we can somehow fix it, when really it was a learning experience. And that series of mistakes was very necessary so that you can learn and do things differently in the future. With a lot of fire energy, there's a lot of impulsivity and a lot of intensity. And sometimes in that race to get to where we're going, we focus more on the emotional aspect of our mistakes than the learning and the growth. This is kind of asking you to have both of those pieces together. That passion, that intensity, but also that balance and objectivity. So the point is to learn and to grow. Good luck. Have a wonderful Scorpio and Eclipse season. Thank you.